Okay, so today we're going to look at the Debt Recovery Solution Accelerator and just be focusing on the straight-through processing elements of that by way of a demo. So the Solution Accelerator, the pack, contains a lot of things, lots of work types, personas, MI, but we're going to focus on three elements of that. We're going to look at the bulk upload of instructions, how we manage volumes of these things and keep an eye on them. We'll look at the investigation straight through piece and what gets done with that in terms of the different protocols, matter setup, the tracing agents and all that. And then finally, we're going to look at the pre-action processes that gets managed. So let's go, get stuck in. Okay, so let's log into Sharedo. Depending upon how you've configured your portals and your workbenches, you'll most probably find a bulk upload entry either at the bottom, or I've actually put it within instructions. Let's close the RAID. I'll come back to that in a second. So just a standard list view showing all the bulk uploads that I've run. You can create specific types for specific purposes. I'll configure it for instructions. You see I ran a couple yesterday. Hey. So we have the plus button, create a new one of these. I'll bring up a blade. Got the concept of templates. These describe the Excel structure. Let's just have a quick look at that actually. So within the, I'll open up the Excel sheet and I'll upload in a second. Within the system, you define the columns and all of that sort of stuff. So what does this look like? It's got my, let's scroll back to the left. It's got my statement of work or client reference, what work type I'm going to be dealing with, the description, jurisdiction, client ref, defendant details. We'll go to my email address and my phone number, so I'm going to get a lot of text messages in a minute, address, all that sort of good stuff, debt amounts, total charges, etc. You get the impression there. So the template here describes that upload format. Maybe put some details here. But as I say, you can extend this data capture as you see fit. Save that. I'm going to upload a file from my computer. Pick that file I just had open a second ago. Press upload. What the system's going to do, I'm just going to confirm the data. I'll talk you through this. So I've actually mapped my columns previously. Let's go and talk about that full screen. I've mapped my columns previously. If I hadn't, it doesn't do any of this mapping for me. But broadly, it's saying I've got a definition of a file format, and you need to tell me that all the columns are mapped. So it asks for either a range or a name range. I've got a name range in my spreadsheet. Is the data laid out horizontally or vertically, and then you load the data in. But let's collapse that, just have a look at this. So broadly, it knows that it needs a column called sale ref, and it's mapped to the first column, verbatim. So you get a preview of the Excel data here before we go on. But once you've done that, and you've got consistent file formats, then really there is nothing for you to do. Let's press verify, and what it's going to do is validate that data initially, so do a first batch of validation. We'll let that do its thing, and actually we'll just close this blade now. So it's validating the data, and it's going to start loading it in. So at this point, let's open up our radar, because that's going to be quite useful, and we'll see it begin to process the instructions in that file. You can see they're going through. Give that a couple of seconds. So there's lots of different visualizations. I mean, we'll leave this open actually. We'll go and have a look at maybe a list of team instructions. And again, we'll see these starting to ping into the system. You can see these ones that are in review stage now going there as well. Okay, so we'll let that go in a second, and it starts to do the straight-through processing stuff. So what's it going to do? It's going to create some compliant, it's going to create the instruction, create some compliant tasks, and start to move those through bit by bit. So fast forwarding slightly, we can see that it's gone through the initial tranche of instructions. We probably should see some notifications soon about various compliance checks flooding into my screen. And it started to say, actually, most of these instructions are good, and I'm going to start to convert those into matters. So let's give that a few more seconds. You can see some notifications coming through about the compliance checks. Those can be turned off. That will get a bit busy if you're running thousands of these guys at once. Let's see, give it a couple more seconds. It's doing a batch, as we can see, and we're into conversion of the matters. How many done so far? Let's do that. We converted 7. It's still processing 14. So fast forwarding slightly, we can see you've got the bulk of them have been done. It will carry on for a little while. And, if there's a large file with thousands of instructions, it will carry on for chucking away through them. We see we've got one that's got input required. So let's use that as an excuse to dip into that instruction. That's where it has failed straight through processing and needs someone to have a little look at that. So we'll dip into that instruction and leave this chugging away in the background. Okay, so let's take a look at this instruction, that's failed straight through processing. So I've gone to my list of instructions. I can see that I've got one that's review clarification required. So let's first open the blade. We'll just understand a little bit about what the system's pumped in from that Excel sheet that we saw earlier. We set up the case type, we're going to get a bunch of notifications. So as the system does its thing. So you can see we've got a bunch of different, the case type, the work type, the jurisdiction. It's set the client case handler. It's created my defendant for me. It's added some details from that spreadsheet, the instruction date, the debts due, some debt amount, provision. It should have performed some auto allocation. So let's have a quick look at that. It's assigned, let's look at case team. It's assigned it to be managed by a team rather than an individual. Obviously, that's just an allocation where we can change that stuff. But hey, team, let's open up the portal view so we get a little bit better view. What's it running? It's still chugging through these things. So it's got a notification email to send me. You can see I'm being fairly well spammed by notifications. Again, you can just configure that to turn that stuff off. And I think in this circumstance, I'd rather I had done. Have a look at my email box in a minute. It's still running a conflict search. It's run a duplicate search. It's asking me to review that. I'll have a quick little look at that. That looks all fine. Let's take the ownership because that's assigned to the team. I'm going to sign that off myself. Past that, it's all good. And then, yeah, I had a look through. Let's just check the chronology on this matter as well. Just very quickly. Yeah, it looks okay. It's done everything I was expecting it to. I'm happy that we should just go ahead with this. So I'm going to press to convert that to matter. Okay, so that's our instructions. But yeah, from a straight-through processing perspective, yeah, 99.999, or indeed it depends how you set the system up, but it should just go through. You're never touching those, but it's just a final, maybe a conflict check that's failed or a possible duplicate or any of that sort. Okay, so before we go into the matter, we can see the flow. We looked at the instruction pipeline view. We're starting to get to the matter view, so you can see it's creating these one of the investigation phases as it goes through. It's processing the investigation phase. We'll have a look at that in a second. And now it's starting to move them straight into pre-action, do the LBA piece. But let's go and dip into our matters now. So if I go to my matter portfolio, you can see the ones that are various ones that are being churned through. Some are in pre-action, some are investigation. It'll be working through those bit by bit. Let's go and maybe open up this one. Okay, so let's have a look at this matter and see what's happened to it. So let's have a look at the plan. I mean, it did the investigation phase very quickly, so you can just see on that hover over on the orange button when it's done. But let's go and have a look at the processes that it's run on this matter. View processes. I'll have a quick little whiz through this. So it's assigned our matter owner to a team. It's done a conflict search. It's done a duplicate search. It's created instruction for a tracing agent. It's done some straight-through processing. It's assigned the legal protocol, so PAP or non-PAP type stuff. Set up initial tasks. It's created my matter debt tranche for me. It's created a virtual data room for sharing of documents. It's set my time bar. It's evaluated my contact strategy. And I'm guessing shortly it will start to execute my contact strategy as well. So let's have a quick little look at some of those things, how that materializes. Again, you don't necessarily need to touch this stuff at all. So it's gone and set up my debt tranche for me. So that flat data that we saw on the instruction form has been changed to a proper accounting principles of the debt here, the interest and charges and what have you against this stuff. So that's all logged within the system. It would have logged some of the documents we've done. I'm not going to go into that. But let's have a quick little look at our chronology. So we get a view of what it's done from that. You can see it's actually entered into the pre-action stuff now already. I've got this on a very fast timer. So it sent me an email. We've been instructed to recover that debt. It's actually sent me a text message as well. It timed out with me not getting back into that. So it's a very quick, obviously the timing would normally be days, but I've got that set to minutes in terms of sending out all these bits of communication. Okay, at a risk of this being the world's longest video, let's just do a quick recap. So we went through matter inception, we looked at the workbench, we looked at the pipeline view, did a bulk upload, we looked at how we mapped the Excel stuff, and then we saw the straight-through processing kick in, start to create all of our instructions. One of those popped out the pipeline, so we opened up the instruction, had a quick little look at it, looked at some of the compliance steps. We then had another look back at our pipeline view and started to see the matters being created. So we opened up one of those matters. It was set on a very fast timer, hey? So we saw investigation, a bit of tracing agents and variety of data set up, and all of the various processes run. Actually, while we were on that matter, we went straight into the pre-action stuff, and we saw a bunch of different, we saw an email, I think, and an SMS. So that's it. That's straight through processing, right from uploading an Excel through to the system doing all of its wonderful stuff. Hope you enjoyed that. As always, if there's any questions, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thanks very much. Take care.